Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of my all-time favorite films. I think it kind of helped shape my love of films, and that's carried me through my entire life. So, first of all, thank you for being a part of it and a part of my life in a way that you probably don't know. But
no, I've heard this before, actually.
Well, that's what I wanted to know, first of all. I mean, I'm sure that fans from all over come up to you and talk about the impact of Chainsaw on their lives. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, that's been a really interesting part because, I've met lots of people from all over Europe and, every part of the world, Philippines, you name it. And even though it was banned in most of their countries for years and years and years, they all knew about it, and they were all, lots and lots of fans. Spain, Italy, Sweden, Germany, it just came out in Germany. So it's amazing. And, I came out, in 2008 at Monster Mania, and I did the Blu-ray interview. And before that, if you met me, you wouldn't have known I was really in the movie. I didn't talk about it a lot. And, I had a whole other life going on. So it's been a lot of fun, though. Fans have been great. And, it's a perfect time in my life to come out and have the time to, do interviews and answer people when they email or go to the website and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, tell me, you alluded to it just now. Tell me a little bit about those years when you're working in your own businesses and Chainsaw was not an active part of your daily life necessarily. What was your relationship to the film at that time?
Well, for the first, say, 10 years, from 74 to the mid-'80s, not a lot was happening, with Chainsaw. It was, pretty much, it wasn't a cult classic. It was, we took it off our resumes. Marilyn did, I did, Bill did. You didn't put it on your resume because it was so controversial, and people would go, what's that, And a lot of people hadn't seen it, They might have heard about it, but they weren't. And then it evolved into the cult classic that it became. People started recognizing what they liked about it, and directors. I think technically, it did more good for the people that were on the technical end. But as far as the actors went, there wasn't any, nothing really to brag about, at that time.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it just took a long time. And then by that time, I was kind of dabbling in other businesses. And then I began to, I went into doing my own business. I had a flower business and all that. And so when you have your own business, you really don't have any time to do anything else, And so, and I'd never made any money off of it at all. And so it didn't pay any bread and butter. Right, so it was really hard to rationalize, talking about Chainsaw all the time or talking about the things that were, in my life and making me money and paying off,
So were there people in your life at this time that had no idea that you were a part of it? And how did they react once they found out you were part of it?
Oh, yeah, that happened a lot. I would be, for instance, I remember giving a party at my house, and someone told someone, this was in the probably the 90s. Someone looked at someone, they said, well, Teri was in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And they said, oh, was she? Really? What did she do? And they said, well, she was the girl on the meat hook. And they'd go, what? So it was, it was something. And I dabbled with coming out from probably 98 on. I dabbled with it. I had people that would contact me. I had people that would stalk me. And I just wasn't comfortable with it. I wasn't totally immersed into the horror genre. Or, I was more into documentaries. I was definitely into thrillers. I loved film of all different kinds. I loved independent film, but I hadn't been, immersed in the horror genre.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very interesting the way it just sort of finally evolved, And by that time, it had become really famous, and everybody else was out on the circuit. And, they kept asking me, and I said, well, I just don't have the time. At that point, I was managing hotels in Venice, California. So managing a hotel, there's definitely no time. Yeah. But anyway, it finally worked itself out that, I was able to go ahead and come out and go to the conventions, and, I just kind of fit it into the life at that point. And so it's been really fun and, nice to meet all the fans and all of that.
Was there a moment that you knew that the movie was a phenomenon?
Well, I began to realize it, in 98, 99. Gunnar would come and get me to sign pictures that he would take to conventions with him. He did that in the 90s, starting around 95. I think he started getting them from me, or, about 95, maybe 93, 94. And then I began to realize I didn't fully comprehend and especially wrap my brain around the fact that they wanted to talk to me and wanted to interview me, wanted to know what happened. It didn't really get me until I came out, and I was at the Monster Mania convention, standing there with 30, 50 people waiting to, talk to me. So then it became very obvious,
That there was a big demand out there for anything chainsaw related. So you were doing theater in college when this opportunity came about, right?
Right. I had first, out of high school, I'd gotten a scholarship to the Dallas Theater Center, Repertory Theater in Dallas that was affiliated with with the Trinity University. And so, I got about 40 hard-earned credits, and I went to Austin thinking I would, change schools and maybe see what else was out there. And I went to Austin, and UT had a big, their department head and the one at the Dallas Theater Center didn't like one another, and they refused to accept any of my credits that I had worked literally from, I'd get up at 7 in the morning, and I didn't get home till midnight every night, with an hour off for dinner, a little bit of time for lunch. You were working constantly doing tech things and for shows and, classes and all that. And so that was really, so I just started taking just anything classes, and I kind of got away from everything for about a half a year. And then I went to a play at St. Edward's University, and I went and auditioned, and I started taking a class so that they could cast me. And I got the leads in all their shows, and they called in Hollywood people. And long story shorter, they saw my picture in the paper. Kim Hinkle and Toby saw my picture in the paper. My eyes were closed. I was with Frank Sutton, former pilot sergeant. And it was the worst picture I've probably ever taken in my life, and they called me to come in. So I went in and I read, and I, it was like, because doing film at that, horror at that time was like doing porn.
Yeah.
It was just unaccepted. They were called SCAD films. It was non-union. And at that time, doing non-union was, frowned upon. And so I thought about it, and then I decided, well, maybe it would be best. There wasn't a lot going on, and so I emailed, there was no email at that time. I phoned them. I took the phone and I dialed the phone probably. And I don't even know if we had a push button at that time. I doubt it. Anyway, so I called them and I said, I'm kind of interested. I told them I was interested. I didn't say kind of. And so I went down and I read again for them. And Tim had told me to wear short shorts. I actually rode my bicycle over for the reading. And after that, they asked me if I would do Pam, would play the role of Pam.
Well,
and that's how it happened.
I'm sure that there was no way to quite know that this movie would be such a tremendous success. But when you read the script, it had to feel very provocative and dangerous.
Well, we didn't actually get the script until we were already cast.
Okay.
So I had no idea what I was reading, and
yeah.
No chainsaws, meat hooks. I didn't have a vision. I didn't know who Leatherface was. I didn't know what he looked like. They showed us nothing. I took this. It was a huge risk, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything. I didn't anyway. And so you go in for a reading. You're there 15 minutes. What do you know? Mm-hmm. And so I guess when I finally got the script, I still wasn't really clear. There were no mock-ups, no drawings, no, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I didn't even know who Ed Gein was. So, no, it was a huge risk. We all took, it wasn't just Toby and Tim that took risks. We all took risks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah.
It turned out fine, though.
I would say it did, yeah. But whenever I read or the people that I've interviewed over the years and I hear accounts of the shoot, I constantly hear how grueling it was. That seems to be the main theme that runs through everyone's stories. Was it grueling for you, that shoot?
Well, let's put it this way. It was 100 degrees if you were lucky. It went from 95 to 105 degrees, basically. If you're in a van for 4 days shooting and the doors and the windows are all closed and you've got 5 cast members and 3 crew in a van sweating, shooting, that's no fun. And then when you finish, you're going to the shade of a tree. You are not going to a trailer. So, yeah, that's, and you're supposed to look, if you're a girl, you're supposed to look good on, whatever. So I was glad I had a really small costume when that when it became clear. They were supposed to shoot it in 2 weeks. After the first week, they ran out of money. We all went home for a few days. Then after 2 weeks, they wanted to do it again. They put us on deferred money, meaning no money. Deferred of the net profits. We sold half of the film, so we didn't get any money. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's hard to eat when you're, as a student and was doing plays at St. Edward's at night, doing that in the day. And I was, doing really great stuff at the theater, so that was very rewarding. And it was a little frustrating, as you might imagine,
Yeah.
And then I lost my waitressing job that I had had for a year and a half that had supported me because I couldn't come to shifts, So, yeah, it's hard because nobody was giving me handouts of, here, take this money so you can just live, pay your rent, buy your food. So we, some of us had to really, pay our dues, so to speak.
Completely, I understand, but you're very young and you're around co-stars around your own age and you're all in kind of the same boat during the shooting. I would imagine that there was a sense of camaraderie between the core group of actors during this process, wasn't there?
Well, you're there, but you don't really know people. I mean, you hang out. Bill and I became friends, but it's not like Bill had money to hand me or whatever. Yeah, you're friends. We were friendly.
Yeah.
But nobody that I know of went off and were friends after it. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't I'll never go a day without talking to you again. It wasn't that sort of a thing. We all had to go and find our lives.
Right.
And so you go different directions.
Isn't that strange? That's this kind of the story of acting and playing any role, I guess, whether it's on stage or screen, that you're in this intense pressure cooker situation with this core group of people for a period of time, and then you just part ways. It feels.
I didn't even go to the premiere. Neither did Bill. I think it was Al. It was Ed and Marilyn went. Alan might have gone because he lived here, but none of us. Gunnar didn't go. So that gives you an idea of, the fact that they didn't really draw us together as a group. Hey, get over here for a party, or none of that went on.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you about one scene in particular that I'm sure you're asked about millions of times, which is your infamous death scene. We talked to Daniel Pearl is a good friend of the show. He's been on a few times, and we talked about the shooting of that particular scene that starts with you getting off of the swing and the camera tracking behind you. And tell me any memories that you have of actually shooting that scene. I understand that that was your favorite portion of the movie to shoot, actually.
Well, I wouldn't say no. I had a big argument with Toby. I came out onto the set. I knew I was supposed to go sit in the swing. Dottie was freshening my makeup. That's Daniel's wife at that time. They were married, and she was the makeup person, Dottie Pearl. And I looked out of the corner of my eye and said, "What's Daniel doing with the camera under the swing?" And she said, "Well, I don't know." And I thought, oh, my God, I've got on these short shorts. My cheeks are showing. This is 1974. They'd already asked me to do. I just didn't want the camera in my butt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I saw that it was literally 15, 20 inches from where my butt was going to be, and I got really upset because there's nobody to protect you. No agents were there for me. No, none of that. And so I was very concerned, about what they were going to be being exploited. There you go. Mm-hmm. And so Toby and I had like an argument, probably 15 minutes, or so. And he finally said, "Oh, Terry, I'm going to shoot around it, And so I had no vision of what they were doing, And so nobody explained anything to me. So it's kind of hard. And then finally I gave into it. I acquiesced. But I can't tell you that I was happy about it because we didn't see, you don't see playback. This was at a time when you didn't see playbacks. I saw one playback, I think, one day while I was on the set. Toby said, "Hey, get over here. We've got some, So, anybody might feel that way that's young, vulnerable, just starting out. I was 21 years old. I was very young.
Yeah.
So I did it, and for years I wasn't really happy. I never saw the film and said, "Wow, Terry, great job."
Oh, that was you never had that moment where you were proud of your work in it?
I was not for a long time. I thought that I could have done a much better job. I was extremely critical of myself. So, it took a long while for me to really, appreciate the whole thing. And, whether that's, my problem or whatever, I had to go on and make a living and live a life,
Sure, yeah.
So for me to screw around and worship something that wasn't doing anything for me was tough.
I understand that completely. But just two more quick questions for you, and then I'll let you off the hook, so to speak. Yeah, thank you. I'm sure that's not the first time you've heard that. But tell me about your acting career. I mean, have you kind of revived your interest in your acting career in recent years now?
I've had a lot of people that were doing independent films, and they got very close to raising their money that I had, agreed to work with. I got, to the day that we were supposed to, finally get some money and get paid to do a thing, and the guy, didn't have the money and was going through a divorce suddenly that day. And so I was interested, but, I just haven't had people that had the money mainly. And so it's pretty hard to do, to take time out of your life to do things for no money.
Yeah.
And so I would be interested if something great came along. They did just use some of my footage in the new 3D, and so that was nice. I met with the director, and I think Marilyn and Gunnar and Ed did not Ed, but John are doing cameos in it. And
Right.
so they're going and promoting. I've gone to quite a few, conventions and met fans. So I do that 4 or 5 times a year mainly. And when there's a place, that wants a Pam, I go. And so that's what I've been doing. But no, I'm just enjoying my life pretty much.
Do you have a most memorable fan encounter?
I think that one of them was when I was doing flowers. I've been doing flowers for 2 years. I'll just say first, yes, the tattoos of him are very memorable, each and every one. I will never say this, but this is something that was very funny. It was before I came out. I'd been doing flowers for an attorney in town. He had a big, huge place where I heard from the front of the place when I went in to take the weekly arrangements through the back. I heard, "Is that McMinn? Tell her to get in here." And I was like, oh, my God, is something wrong with the flowers? Oh, no, I was really concerned. And I went into his office, and I said, "Hey, what's up?" And he said, "You never told me you were the girl on the meat hook." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, nobody really knows, But that was one, but you want one more?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, here's the best one. I am 21, 22. The film's just coming out, and it's being, there are trailers, and I'm in all the trailers, and I'm stunned, And I haven't seen the film. I have no idea. I'm really worried about what my work will look like, and I'm so critical of my work, Mm-hmm. And so I get to this theater in Tomball, Texas, where my nephew, at that time, he was about 9, and he's running around, and all the kids are screaming, and I'm very concerned. I said, "Now, don't you tell anyone that I am in this movie." And I'm with my girlfriend, Dee. Well, we'd been driving there in my Volkswagen bus, all right? We've been driving from Austin to Houston to get there. And on the way, my friend Dee said, "Oh, look, hitchhiker." And I said, "Oh, what does he look like?" She said, "I don't know." I said, "Well," she said, "Do you want to pick him up?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. Does he look okay?" She said, "Yeah, he looks all right, So we pull over, Now here, those are the very lines from the movie, if you haven't noticed. Those are the very lines from the film. So this kid gets in, this scraggly kid gets in, hippie, just like we are. He gets in, and we're talking, and, we'd been out all night doing everything, drinking and very partying, and, So this guy starts talking about how the night before he'd been at a drive-in and he saw this unbelievable movie. It was so unreal. And he's just going on and on and on, and he's talking about meat hooks and chainsaws and this and that. There was this chick on a meat hook, and oh, my God, he was just, I was waiting to be sure that he really liked the film and my work, And I said, "Well, was she good? I mean, were they good? The actors, were blah, 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 blah." And he said, "Oh, yeah." So not even having any makeup on, which is against the law in Texas for a woman over the age of 15 not to have heavy makeup on. I had no makeup on and was very hungover, and I risked it. I pulled up my sunglasses and I said, "Do you recognize me?" And I thought we were going to have to resuscitate the guy.
Oh, that's amazing.
Made his day. I can't imagine. I'd love for him to call me or come up to me at some convention.
Oh, wow.
I would love that. That would be so phenomenal.
It's just amazing to me hearing your story and the story of this movie. I mean, there's just something about fate. I mean, just the way that life works. I mean, it's just so unexpected.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think what it taught me, and what it's a great life lesson for anyone, is you never know. You absolutely never know. For instance, who would have known that at my age I would be coming out and people would be they're dying to meet me and talk to me, and they're so sweet and lovely, and it's just been a wonderful experience. So I'm very grateful for the turnaround, and that it was finally recognized as we worked really hard on the film, and to be honest, even though I was very critical, I also took great pride in my work. So, it was important to me, So probably would have been a good idea to invite us to the premiere and to let us know that we were really appreciated.
I agree.
At the time, I think that would have made a big difference in how we all, it would have brought us back together and, So I'm very grateful. Marilyn and I are really close friends. I talk with Gunnar here and there. I see Ed and Teresa, Bill Vale. We see each other when we go to the conventions. So Alan and I, have been friends for over the years. So it has that to it. And, you don't ever know. I'm telling you.
Well, let me tell you, I appreciate your work in it, and I appreciate you, and you've played a stronger role in my life than you could probably imagine. I mean, this was a major milestone for me when I saw Chainsaw, and it kind of clued me into how powerful a movie can be. So I thank you personally for that.
Well, thank you very much. I'm really pleased. I know Pam has had many effects on many different people, and and I take that as a great compliment.
Do I direct our listeners to your website? I'd like for them to go to your website.
Sure.
Do you update that with your convention appearances?
My webmaster has gotten a full-time job, so I don't really have anyone right now that's doing that for me. So if anybody out there is listening and is interested, let me know. But yes, you can go to my website. My merchandise and pictures, if they want to order anything, are on there. And they're $20 plus the shipping and handling.
Okay.
I have a few T-shirts left. I have magnets that are so cute. They're really, really fun. So it's Teri at TeriMcMinn.net is my hook, as it is. And, of course, I'm on Facebook. On MySpace, but I don't really check MySpace much anymore. Oh, yeah, I would tell you this, that we are going, almost everyone is going to Germany because it was just unbanned next March. So we're really excited about that. I have friends all over Europe. I can't wait to see some of them afterward,
Yeah.
So, and the friends and the fans in Germany I can't even believe that it's taken this long for them to unban it.
They just unbanned it?
Last
in
year.
Germany? Wow.
Last year of all countries. So, yeah, they have, they have skinhead groups and all that stuff. So, anyway, it's kind of interesting that they've just unbanned it, but we're really glad. And the Germans, I've met so many over the years being in the hotel business, it was wonderful, and I have lots of good things to say. They're just fantastic. They're great travelers, for one thing. They're very resourceful. They just, they're very kind. So I can't wait, and I know people from all over Europe are going to be going because they can get all of our autographs at one time,
Well, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
A whole new generation of people will be watching that movie for the first time.
That's the most amazing part.
Mind-blowing.
Generation to generation.